Okay everyone, final stop of the year has taken me to Grimsby. I'm here for the weekend with work, and obviously whilst I'm here I thought I'd explore the local parkour park and I'd also explore their local parkour gym as well. So it's early morning, it's still quite wet, but yeah, let's have a look at the Grimsby parkour park. Right, so before we dive into this parkour park, I wanted to give you a little bit of the history of the park and kind of tell you a little bit of story about it. So this parkour park opened in March 2013, I believe, and it was the first parkour facility and venue in the northeast Lincolnshire area. This parkour park cost £57,000. Let's round that up to 60,000, and compared to Littlehampton, which is supposedly a £50,000 parkour park, the difference is night and day. This park is so much bigger. I don't know if land costs in Grimsby is cheaper than it is down in somewhere like Littlehampton, but the difference is night and day. You know, that £7,000 amount compared to what Littlehampton got for that pricing is nuts. Hello, this is future me sat in the hotel room editing this video. I had a conversation with Jake from Team Reality about this parkour park earlier today, and what he told me was that the impact flooring that the parkour park has actually used up like a significant amount of that funding. I can't remember the number specifically, but I think the number took it down to more or less the same amount as the Littlehampton parkour park. And if you remember in the Littlehampton video, it doesn't have that impact flooring. So if you really like scale things back a bit, what this parkour park got for around roughly the same cost is so much better than the Littlehampton parkour park. But yeah, let's jump back into the video where we explore a little bit more detail about it all. So this parkour park is lovely, it's really good. It's developed by Freemove, who have developed many of the parkour parks in the UK, including Slough, including Bubish. So many UK parkour parks have been made by Freemove. So I'm going to pull my notes app off my phone because I do have some more notes on here. So it's located in the Duke of York Gardens in Grimsby. It's not too far away from the Grimsby train station. It's about a 15-20 minute walk if you've got like quick legs. This parkour park's cost, so the £57,000, was raised by local parkour enthusiasts, which is Team Reality. Team Reality are the locals here. They run a very nice YouTube channel, which is linked below if you do want to go check that out. They raised some of the money for this parkour park, and the guys at Team Reality have been involved in doing parkour in this area for well over 15 years now. I think they formed in 2007, so that'll be approaching 20 years in a couple of years time. So I think they're on year 17 or something like that. So I think they started at this space, and they now also have their own parkour gym venue down the road, which means they can deliver sessions when it's wet outside. And these guys like pretty much run this park. Like they do the upkeep, they run events here. Like they've had a really like positive impact, and they've really like, I guess, taken ownership of this space because they want to look after it. They want to make sure that it lasts the test of time, so more individuals can come down and practice parkour at this parkour park. On top of that as well, it had support from the council and Humberside Police, and it's had its fair share of struggles over the last few years. So I'll touch on this in a little bit more, but let's just say some people don't respect the space as much as everyone else does. So let's go explore this park, let's see what it has to offer and whether I think you should make the journey to train here. To begin with, I'm going to take you on a walking tour around the Grimsby parkour park here. So we're going to start over here. You're going to see this lovely concrete setup. These walls are brilliant. They are quite high off the ground, so if you're obviously a younger person like this, to me it comes up to here, so it comes up like just under my chest, so it is quite high. They are some high walls, but they look good nonetheless. They're very like solid as well. Like sometimes I've been to parkour parks and the concrete structures aren't that solid, whereas this one is. Obviously you have that Freemove logo there, so they've built a lot of the parkour parks across the UK. I think they've done the Slough parkour park, they've done the Bubish one as well, I believe. So yeah, these guys, I don't know if they're still going, but they've been responsible for pretty much the vast majority of UK parkour parks. So the Grimsby parkour park is located in the Duke of York Gardens in Grimsby. It's a little bit of, I guess, a 15-minute walk away from the train station. See, as we come here, you see more of those wall setups across the top there. One thing you'll notice about this Grimsby Parkour Park is these pillars here. So there's loads of these pillars, but they're kind of spread out nicely amongst the setup. So they're varying heights, they're kind of different spacing. There's obviously a couple of things breaking those pillars up from one another. So here we've got this lovely concrete setup before some more pillars. And like I said, these pillars are common throughout the park. And compared to a lot of other parkour parks I've been to so far, what's nice about these pillars is it varies in sizes, and obviously like the spacing of them is better. So it's very easy for parkour parks to put these like very, very close together, and it kind of just takes away a lot of like the movement you can have in the space. But this one is really nicely spread out. We've got our rail set up before moving over to the larger scaffolding setup here. Now, one thing I want to mention about this scaffolding setup is these are welded together, which is brilliant. So I think post like 2014, a lot of parkour parks started introducing these welded bars together. The reason being is for local councils and stuff, it's less upkeep. They don't have to keep coming down to visit and keep the space safe. The Bubish Parkour Park doesn't have a welded setup. They use bolts. So sometimes we go to run a session there with Crawley Parkour, or I go out to train and they're loose because they're not tightened. And as members of the public, we don't really have the tools to keep them tightened. So this welded parkour bar setup is really, really good. What's nice here is you've got like low opportunities to practice like vaults over rails, low risk rail precisions. Kind of all comes across there before moving round to that main section, which is, for me, not too high, but if you're a kid, obviously this is going to be very, very tall. But it's a lovely bar setup here. It's beautiful. It's so, so good. Connected into some of the walls as well, you've got this like U-shaped bar, underbar thing, which is quite cool. Obviously you've got some lovely art from the Grimsby locals. Well, this lovely little like underbar section here, like this is great. I love this little setup. Don't see many of these in parkour parks these days, which is great. Another shot of this scaffold setup. I'm going to be careful not to trip over anything whilst I walk backwards. Yeah, it's almost like a parkour park with like three parts. You got your precisions, you got your concrete blocks, and you got your rails. Obviously more of those bollards here. It's just a really nice space. And when you compare it to parkour parks like the Littlehampton Parkour Park, for example, which was only £7,000 cheaper than this park, I think the council, the Littlehampton Parkour Park, I think the council were granted 50,000, spent most of that money on the skate park, and then just tacked a parkour park on the side. For £57,000, close to 60,000, let's call it 60,000 or whatever, this space just utilizes the area so much better. It's night and day, night and day. I would prefer to train at the Grimsby Parkour Park over the Littlehampton Parkour Park. And of course this wouldn't be a parkour park without its fair share of challenges. So back in, I think it was around 2019, this parkour park saw, like many other parkour parks across the UK, a spate of arson. So it's got this like spongy impact flooring, which is good for those who are wanting to practice parkour. It's a really safe way to kind of reduce, like, you know, if anything happens, if anyone falls or if anyone hurts themselves, it's a really good way to reduce that. But that floor is extremely flammable. And there was a period of time from like 2019, even until like now, where people will just come over and start fires, whether they're like doing a little bonfire or a little barbecue or something like that. But here, like, I think they melted a wheelie bin or something like that. And essentially that really damaged the flooring of this park. But as you can see down here, this is kind of an example of what I mean. You can't really see it on the camera unless I do that. But essentially, like, fire damages the floor. And obviously then that means that there's risks like that. And unfortunately, that's quite a common thing with UK parkour parks. I know Slough has had exactly the same problem. I know the Lancing Parkour Park pretty much closed down because someone like lit a fire there, but also like took the parkour park down in some way. I don't really know, but obviously that's the risk you run with having these spaces in public places, is you're not just getting the local parkour community or, you know, even the traveling parkour community coming to those places. You do have to deal with the public as well. And unfortunately, you know, some individuals in parkour and members of the public do not have the same respect for this space as some other people do. Another example is this one down here. So this was a bollard that's been knocked off or burnt off or whatever, and now there's quite a risky pole like thing sticking out there. Thankfully, this one is like in a kind of a dead space area of the parkour park, I believe. So it's not really going to affect anyone, but obviously if you're a kid running around, it's going to be very easy to trip on that sort of thing. And of course, with all of this, I have to give a massive shout out to Team Reality, because they're a parkour coaching organization and they're a group that create lots of content on YouTube. I think they post pretty much weekly, so I'll link them in the description down below. They've had so much involvement with this parkour park. So obviously they helped with some of the development of it. So they actually helped get this space going, and then they built their coaching up, and then they open their own indoor venue, and they even run events every year here. And obviously they're using the space that they've got in their local community. And I think what they're doing is great, because they're really looking at allowing individuals to get started with parkour and giving them the tools to get started with parkour. So do I think you should train here? Should you make the visit up to Grimsby, which for a lot of the southerners is quite far? Absolutely. I think you can make a little weekend out of it. Like, Grimsby not only has a really nice parkour park and a load of spots, but it's also got the Team Reality parkour gym. I've made a weekend out of it here myself, so I've kind of come down for 3 or 4 days just to really try and like utilize the kind of areas that Grimsby has on offer. And yeah, it's just like a really nice parkour park. It's a good size, there's a lot of variety, loads of great challenges here. I do really think it's a space to come down to. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'm still looking at the structure of these parkour park long form videos. I'm kind of locked in with the short form, but the long form is a little bit intimidating for me, so I am trying as much as I can to get them done. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave it a like, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. As I look at visiting more parkour parks and parkour spaces, I am working on a separate project, which I'm happy to announce in 2025. But until then, I'm gonna spend more time here, gonna enjoy it, and yeah, all good, cool. Take care guys, I'll see you in the next one.